What's going on, you beautiful, beautiful closers, you? So in today's video, we're going to break down the king, the daddy, the Don himself, Jordan Belfort, and we're going to go through his sales method, the straight line method. Now, during this video, I'm going to show you why, in my humble opinion, I think his method is a little bit outdated. It's a little bit like 90s sales. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to break down my strategy that I taught my 8-figure sales team to do and how we're generating thousands and thousands of dollars every single day in 2023.
Got a great topic today. Skills training has to do with looping here, a specific aspect of it in terms of how you tonally handle different objections.
Cool. So it looks like in today's video, we're going to be breaking down tonality, which as sales professionals, we should know that how you say things is more important than what you say. And we're going to break that down in a second. Real quick, I wanted to preface this. Jordan Belfort is the king of looping. And if you don't know what looping is, it's essentially, well, it came from Scientology, and it was originally called acknowledge and redirect. So this was taught in like Scientology school. I assume when they go out and evangelize and try and get people into the religion, there's sales happening there. So acknowledgement and redirect. It basically meant, hey Hunter, I don't really want to do this religion. Maybe Scientology sounds whack. Hey Ben, I completely agree with you. Honestly, when I first started, it was blah, blah, blah. Let me ask you a question though. And it allows you to pull them back in, but actually gain their trust. So I'm sure Jordan's going to go heavily over looping, which is what he calls what I just said, acknowledging and redirecting. But let's jump in and see what he has for us.
One of the things that I teach with looping, it's pretty obvious, right? The sort of the broader levels is that when someone hits you with a common objection, right? And then you run your initial loop, right? You'll say, well, does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? And they'll say, yeah, it sounds pretty good. And no matter which objection you get hit with, your standard straight line response is very basic. I hear what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. Does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? Right now, notice.
Basically, yeah, he's taking exactly what I said, acknowledging and redirecting. And what Jordan is saying is, I hear what you're saying. It is a lovely accent, and he's saying, but let me ask you a question. He's acknowledging the prospect and then redirecting them back to the conversation. However, you can do this way more tactfully than what's being shown on screen. This is like elementary school, day one of sales. You learn acknowledging and redirecting. I hear what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. We can do this way more tactfully. So yeah, this is like really basic stuff that's almost used as smokescreen. And in 2023, this just isn't going to work. So at the end, I'm going to break this all in holistically, and I'll give you some useful examples you can use in 2023.
Right now, notice, this is important. This is the distinction. So I say, I hear what you're saying, not, oh, John, I totally hear what you're saying. But does the idea make sense to you? See, I don't, if I say, oh, I totally understand what you're saying, but I give away control, I lose power. It's like, oh my God, I understand. But so you don't do that. What you want to do is say, I hear what you're saying, so you don't break rapport. So I hear what you're saying, fair enough, reasonable, but let me ask you a question.
Yeah, I don't know if I vehemently agree with this. Normally, 80% of sales that take place happen based on emotion, not logic. So if you want to sit behind a desk and you're in front of somebody that doesn't agree with you and you're like, I hear what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. It's very kind of standoffish. There's not a lot of emotional back and forth happening. So if this is Jordan's way, we'll keep watching. I'm curious to see where he takes us, but yeah.
One thing I might not have gone through though with you, because this is in the advanced training course I'm working on now, is that there is one objection that you actually handle differently. You still say the same words pretty much, but you handle the tonality with a different twist, right? So someone says to me, let me go backwards. You know what my favorite objection is, honestly? Or the one I respect the most? I'm not liquid right now.
Yeah, obviously, let me think about it. Let me get back to you. Maybe. Let me look over the numbers. These are all just polite ways of saying no, and prospects throw up this smoke screen because they're too uncomfortable in a sales conversation to say no to somebody. It's just kind of awkward to do. So yeah, I completely agree. The let me think about it is probably the worst objection in the book, and I also respect yeah, I'm not liquid right now. I just don't have the money. Because there's, things you can actually work around here. So let's real quick see what tonality shift he's talking about that he's going to do.
So watch how I handle let me think about it. Someone says, oh, it sounds good, Jordan, let me think about it. And I say, I hear what you're saying, Bill. But let me ask you a question. Does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea?
Yeah, so when Jordan Belfort says, I understand what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. Do you like the idea? I don't know how I feel about that. I think that is extremely weak. Of course they like the idea. Think about a used car salesman. If you're coming in to get a car, of course you like the idea. It's a new car, even if it's used. Do you like the idea of yourself driving in the car? It's such an incremental, small baby win to get them to say yes to that it really doesn't hold any weight in the conversation. It really doesn't make them think any differently, because as a closer, you're supposed to sell your prospects on a superior way of thinking, not the product. So I'm going to tie that in the end, but Jordan, it sounds like, is just testing the water to see if they even want the product, which you should have done in the first place at the beginning of any meeting or any call with whatever prospect you ever have. So let's keep continuing and see if he's got one last thing for us.
But let me ask you a question. Does the program make sense to you? Do you like it? Do you like what I have, right? And now they'll be like, well, yeah, it sounds pretty good.
So Jordan just spent essentially 7 minutes breaking down this one little thing, and then all the meat and potatoes of what you actually need. He's like, and then I do a loop-de-loop, and then I pull, and then you buy my course, and then now you know how to sell. So basically all he's done successfully in this video is taught us how to acknowledge and redirect, or as he calls it, loop, which is saying, I hear what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. And then at the end, he's like, and then I tie them down, and then I get these other things, and then I go around their objections, and then I get to the end, and then I get their money. So what you guys actually need to learn doesn't sound like it's being covered in this video. If anything, at least he did focus on the fact that tonality is king, and he did it in a slight little variation of a way in the difference in being sincere. And often as closers, being sincere, it's not do it here and then do it there. It's almost like you do it all the time. So as I was saying before, 80% of closes, sales, whatever you want to call it, that take place are actually done through emotion, not logic. It's if the people like the product, if they like you, if they're feeling good that day, if you can make them feel good about their purchasing decision, they'll buy. It's actually really simple. So for Jordan to really focus on the differences in sincerity for this one little incremental win, like, do you like the idea? I'm not getting much from this. So what I'd like to do is show you guys a superior way of thinking today so that these videos, how to handle objections, of course they're great, they're fun, but overall, you shouldn't really get objections in the first place. And I'd like to show you what I mean. What you can use I hear what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. Is anything really like in retail, if you don't have any control over the call, you're just an employee, maybe car sales. What I'm going to show you guys is specifically for sales calls via phone, Zoom, whatever it is, where the prospect is coming to you and you can immediately avoid any objection at the end. All right, so let's set the stage. You're selling consulting. It's anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. Whether you're a personal trainer, you're teaching somebody about business, you're a life coach, whatever it is, you're selling an informational product, $5,000 to $10,000. Here's how you set up your call in the very beginning to ever avoid the objection. Well, let me think about it. Let me get back to you. Maybe. I'll have to do some research first. Here's how you set up the call. Awesome, Jordan. So before we begin today's call, one of our most important pillars here at XYZ Company is accountability and feedback. Now, don't get me wrong, this program is so much fun, but we definitely hold our members accountable to their success so that they can get that XYZ that they want. We actually have a saying inside of our company. It goes, one day or day one. Have you ever heard of that statement, John? It basically means you can say, maybe one day I'll finally hit this goal, XYZ. Nothing's going to change, but maybe one day I'll hit it. Or, John, you can do the most powerful thing you could possibly do, and you can change the order of those 2 words alone to day one. We love to work with day one mentality mindset clients because these are the people who always get the job done. So for the purposes of today's call, John, before we jump in, there's really 3 things we could say at the end of today's call. Number 1 is, hell yeah, Hunter, this is my day one. I'm completely committed to my goal. You can even say, no, this isn't the right fit. John, that's totally fine. If it's not the right fit for you, I want you to know it's okay to say no to me. What we're trying to avoid today is maybe one day, I'll get back to it. I'll think about it. Because that's the exact mindset that got you here in the first place. So could we make a simple agreement, John, that at the end of today's call, we're just going to do a simple, Hunter, this is my day one, or no, this isn't the right fit. but no maybes, or I'll think about it, or maybe one day something will change. Is that fair enough to you? Okay, so to real quick break down that pre-frame close, in the beginning, I wanted to go over the fact that one of our most important pillars is accountability and feedback. That means that it's a team effort. So I'm now including the prospect in the next sentences that I'm going to say. The second thing is, this isn't super serious, John. Now, don't get me wrong. This program is extremely fun, which is great because it kind of lowers their barriers into this isn't a super serious statement that's about to happen, but it lets them lower their barriers. And it is kind of a serious statement because they're going to agree by the end of the call. They're going to give me I'm a day one mindset person, or I'm a 1 day mindset person, which is maybe one day it'll happen. Nobody wants to identify with that. So if you tie the 1 day mindset to let me think about it, I'll get back to you, it makes them seem kind of like a pansy and like they're not serious about their goals in the first place, which at this point they're on the call for. So if they want to associate themselves with that positive mindset that you just set before them, the day one mindset people, they're going to be more likely to choose it. And it's going to make it kind of awkward at the end of the call when they say, oh, let me think about it, because they just agreed in the front that they're not going to do that. You'll get the occasional prospect that will do that, but it's so few and far in between. This is how I'd like you guys to structure your calls so that you avoid objections in the first place and you're never left in the desert without a roadmap, wondering how to overcome objections in an endless loop. If you want this exact script in the entirety of it, the pre-frame close and way more, and what's closed us over $10 million at this point, me personally and my 8-figure sales team, just drop an email below, click the link, and we'll send it right over to you for free. So guys, until the next video, wait a second. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving! I'm not fucking leaving! No, I'm leaving. I'll see you guys in the next one.